All right, today we're diving into something called Project Nexus. It's a really fascinating new initiative that's basically asking one huge question. Is our education system actually ready for a world powered by AI? So let's dig into their answer. So let's kick things off with that big question. Have you ever felt like higher education is a little disconnected? Like different subjects and even whole universities are kind of stuck in their own little boxes? Well, that is the exact challenge Project Nexus is setting out to solve. So what's their big idea? Well, they're proposing a totally new approach to learning, and it's got a pretty cool name to go with it, Cosmogogy. And its whole purpose, really, is to break down those boxes, those silos, and finally connect what we learn inside a classroom to the real world outside. Okay, so what is it exactly? Well, think of cosmogogy as a learning ecosystem. It's all about the dynamic back-and-forth interaction between three key things: humans, AI, and the world. The ultimate goal here is to completely change how we learn and create new knowledge, and the key word is together. And this quote really hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the shift in thinking. We're moving away from students sitting in a classroom learning about the world to being with the world. Getting them right into the middle of real problems and using technology to make that connection happen. And all of this leads to this really cool central idea, flattening the learning. So what does that mean? It's about tearing down those old hierarchies, where a professor just stands at the front and lectures. Instead, it's about enabling students and teachers from literally anywhere to work together as peers. It's basically turning the whole world into one giant shared classroom. Okay, so the engine that makes all of this run is what they call the human AI world ecosystem. Let's break down each of these three parts, one by one. First up, we have the human. This is all about putting the learner and the educator right at the very center of the experience. It's focused on creating learners who are self-directed, ethical, and great at building real relationships across different cultures. Next up, AI. And listen, this part is absolutely key. In this model, AI isn't just some tool you use. No way. It's positioned as an active partner, a real facilitator in the learning process. It's something that can give you personalized learning paths and even help with ethical guidance. And finally, we have the world. This is the piece that grounds everything. It connects the learning to real, authentic, global challenges. The whole idea is for students to get their hands dirty, engaging directly with real-world issues to make a real-world impact. And here, you can see how it all clicks into place. This diagram just shows it perfectly. Look at that constant dynamic flow between them. You've got the human learner interacting with real-world problems, and they're using AI as a partner to help analyze, create, and collaborate. The point is, none of these pieces work alone. They're always interacting. So let's dive a little deeper into the human part. The big focus here is on shaping students who can take charge of their own learning journey and who are skilled at building relationships with people from different cultures. Really, the end goal is to build this global collaborator mindset where being open, curious, and connected just becomes second nature. Now for the AI domain. This is where things get really interesting because its role is completely redefined. AI is not just a fancy search engine anymore. Instead, it's this dynamic partner, a facilitator that gives you personalized learning paths. It can even act like a collaborative buddy that helps you brainstorm and co-create new stuff. And rounding it all out, the world domain. This is what keeps everything grounded in reality. The learning here isn't just theoretical textbook stuff. Nope. Students are actually tasked with tackling major global challenges. Think something like sustainability. And the work they do is meant to have a real, tangible social impact.
Okay, so that's all the theory. It sounds great, right? But how does it actually work in practice? Well, let's take a look at the pilot project they designed to put all these ideas to the test.
It's called the Cosmogogy Collaborative, and it's exactly what it sounds like. An initiative that brings students and educators together from a bunch of different universities all over the world, all to work on one single shared problem. For their 2025 pilot, they picked a huge theme: sustainability. And this is the guiding question for everyone involved. Notice it's not just, how do we become more sustainable? The question is more specific. How can this new model of human-AI world collaboration help us get there? It's a really important distinction.
And this isn't a year-long course either. We're talking about a super intensive experience. The whole thing happens in just 8 weeks.
So, How do they structure that time? Well, it's broken down into 3 clear phases. Phase 1, the first 2 weeks, is all about getting ready and just getting to know each other. Phase 2, weeks 3 through 6, that's the real meat of it, deep collaboration and co-creation. And then phase 3, the last 2 weeks, is all about showing off what they've built and reflecting on the whole experience. Okay, but you might be thinking, isn't this just a fancy new name for something we've seen before? That's a fair question. So let's actually compare Cosmogogy to another pretty well-known model for global learning.
So you might have heard of COIL, which stands for Collaborative Online International Learning. And yeah, they both connect students globally, but there's a huge difference. COIL is a model for virtual exchange. Cosmogogy is a whole learning ecosystem. But the real game changer, the thing that sets them apart, is AI. For Cosmogogy, AI is a central, non-negotiable partner. For COIL, it's more of an optional add-on, not part of its core DNA.
So at the end of the day, why does any of this matter for the students? Well, the outcomes here go way beyond just getting a good grade. We're talking about participants creating actual digital artifacts that help solve a real global challenge. They're building their own global network. And maybe most importantly, they're developing the exact skills they're going to need for a future where working with both people and AI is just normal. And that really leaves us with this final massive question to think about. For so long, we've thought of AI as just a tool, right? Something we use. But what if we shifted that thinking? What if we started to see it as a true collaborator, a partner in crime for discovery and problem solving? Just imagine the possibilities that could open up. What problems that we've always thought were unsolvable could we finally start to tackle together?